Opening a pizzeria in 2024 has never been easier, but there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to operating a pizzeria that I wanted to help you out with. So before you think about or get started opening or operating a pizzeria, here's a quick video of some pros and cons of actually owning and operating a pizzeria, because it's a lot different than a lot of these videos make it seem. You see a lot of people on Instagram, you see a lot of people on TikTok and on YouTube operating pizzerias, and you're like, this is amazing. I can just buy a Gozni or an Uni oven and operate a pizzeria. But let me just give you some little tips and advice on what it's actually like to run a pizzeria, because running a pizzeria, making pizza at home and operating a successful pizzeria that's profitable and makes you money enough to live on is very different. And that's what we're talking about in today's video. The first thing that you have to get past is the perception that pizza is cheap. I don't know why this happens, but it still happens. People think that pizza should be $10 or $12 for a 16-inch or an 18-inch cheese pizza. And that's just not feasible in today's environment. The way things cost, especially if you're using higher quality flours or higher quality cheese, things just cost a lot more today than they used to. So if you are going to start a pizzeria, you are going to have to get past the perception that pizza should be cheap. It's not a cheap food. It may feel like a cheaper food because you can eat it on the go and people sell it in slices, and it's very convenient for a family of four to get one 18-inch pizza to share between the two of them. But if you make a really good pizza, it's by no means cheap quality. It should make you feel good after, and you have to convince people, and by convince I mean you have to show them that your pizza is worth more than $10 or $12. And it's going to be hard for you to do that because there's still people out there who balk at the idea of paying $25 for a 16-inch pizza. But I know that that's sometimes the case, and it needs to be that way in order for you to be profitable. So that's the one thing you're going to have to get past, is the hurdle of the perception that pizza is cheap. When I was operating the pizzeria, this is something that we had to deal with all the time because we were a more traditional style pizza shop that delivered. That was a 90s, 2000s pizza shop, had a big menu. And let me tell you, first of all, if you're going to have a big menu, don't do it. Start small, expand over time. It's going to be a lot easier for you in the long run. I've talked about that so many times. But it was hard for us. People thought we should have discounts. People thought we should have coupons, and they would price compare. And if you are operating a pizzeria in 2024, you need to look at your menu and say, all right, how can I price my menu so that I can make a profit, but also get people to try it and have a better product than everybody else in my area? Because that's what's gonna make you be able to stand out. And being able to stand out in today's environment is super important, because if you can't stand out in today's environment, there are so many choices out there for people to get food delivered than there was 15 years ago. You're not just competing against other pizza shops. You're competing against every other food place that makes food can now deliver it. So you're competing against everybody. McDonald's, Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, all of those big chains that have tons of money. As an independent pizzeria owner, even though you may have a better product, you still have to get out there and talk about your product and make sure people know about it. And that's what you're competing with. The other thing people don't think about when they are deciding to operate a pizzeria is how hard the hours are. There's so many long hours that goes along with operating a pizzeria. Now, I'll do another video in the future about some opportunities that I see, but when you're operating a pizzeria, you have to open when people want to buy pizza. It's nights, it's weekends. A lot of people don't think of that. They have their corporate job and they're like, oh, I'm an attorney. I want to open a pizzeria because I think it'll be fun. I don't have to answer to anybody, which is true. You don't have to answer to anybody but yourself when you're your own boss. But you do have to answer to your employees, and you do have to answer to your customers. And those customers want pizza when they're hungry, which is nights and weekends. That's the majority of the times you're going to be selling your product. That's also the hard times to get people to work, because a lot of people don't want to work nights and weekends, and getting people and employees to hop on board with you and sit in a hot kitchen or outdoors at a pop-up event and work nights and weekends when their friends and family are out having fun is a big challenge. It's the number one challenge I see people going through right now in the pizza industry, is being able to get and compete for the talent that's out there to make pizza. Making pizza is a skill. I know it doesn't seem like a skill from people who are attorneys or doctors, but being able to make a high quality pizza over and over and over again consistently over time is a skill. And it's a skill that you have to train somebody on and how to do it. And usually what happens is, and this is from my experience, you train someone to do a good job, and by the time they're fully trained to do a good job, they leave. And then you have to bring somebody else in and try to train them to do just as good a job as the last person. And Listen, people leave these businesses relatively quickly. These are not high paying jobs that people stick around for their entire career. Yeah, there are some people out there who have worked in pizza shops their entire life. I get that. But for the most part, the people who are going to be working with you in your pizzeria are going to be coming and going quite frequently. So you have to make sure that you are able to put up with that and be able to be okay with the fact that you are going to train somebody one day, and 6 months from now, they may be gone. And it's this never-ending cycle of being able to find people to help you run your pizzeria. And that's a big challenge that people don't think about. And that's why I always tell people, start small, because if you start small with your menu, you're able to do that a lot easier. It's a lot easier to have somebody come in and train them to do 10 pizzas than it is to train somebody to do 15 to 20 pizzas, plus 15 to 20 subs, plus 5 salads, plus some desserts. It's just a lot of hassle you don't have to go through when you start with the smaller menu. All that being said, pizza shop ownership can be tremendously rewarding. Think about this. If your child or somebody you know is looking to get a donation or do a community event, who's the first person you go to? The first person you always think about in your area is the local pizza shop guy. And that's great. As a former operator and owner myself, I loved being part of the community. I loved being able to give back to the kids who are in my community and be able to be part of the community. The goal for us was always to be part of the foundation of the children. Sponsor local events, be part of those elementary school events and parties. So that way, when those kids grow up, and a lot of the kids just kind of stay in the community, they think of us and they bring their kids in like they came in. So that's a tremendously rewarding part of being an owner of a pizza shop, is that you get to build the community around you, or you get to become part of your community, and you can, over time, become a local staple in the place where people go to. If you're good enough, they raise their kids come back to you over and over. That was one of the greatest things about operating pizzeria, is seeing the little kids that came into our pizza shop come back as adults with their kids and say, you know what, I used to bring my kids in here when they were little. That was a great feeling we used to have when generations of families came back to our shop all the time. Another great thing is you are your own boss. There are pizza shops out there that I've interviewed, and I've done over 700 interviews at this point, where they create their own hours. I know I said in the beginning of this that it is nights and weekends, which it's mostly nights and weekends. If you want to be a busy, highly successful pizza shop, you're going to have to be open those horrible hours of late nights and weekends. But you are your own boss, and there are pizza shops who can get away with being open, 5 to 9, Monday through Friday, maybe closed Sunday and Monday, and they have their own hours that they set. Now, it is harder to take away hours and reduce hours and days of operation once you get started. So I highly recommend you really think about the days you want off and the hours you want to operate when you open, because it's just like adding things to your menu is a lot easier than taking things away. Reducing your shop hours and reducing the days that you're open is doable, but you're going to get some pushback from your people that follow you. So I highly suggest, before you even open your pizzeria, really, really think about, what days do I want to operate? What days do I want to be open? Do I want Sundays and Mondays off? Do I want to be open till 1 o'clock in the morning? Or do I want to close at 9 o'clock and be able to go home and spend a tiny bit of time at night with my wife and my family? That's what I would do. But everybody's different. Sometimes there's opportunities to really be like, you know what? I'm going to be that 3 a.m. slice shop that's open in a college town and the go-to place. There's a lot of places out there and a lot of opportunity for that. So highly recommend thinking about your hours of operation and starting with it, and then you can add over time. Like I said many, many times in this podcast and these videos, it's way easier to add hours and add days you're open or add products to your menu than it is to take them away. And let me just end by saying, I really admire pizza people. It's a tough job. It's a lot of perception that's not great. It feels like people think it's a cheap food. People think you're making tons of money as the owner, and you're really not. You're really just having a business and a job that you like, and you're making a good living if you do it well, and we can help you do that. But if you are operating a pizzeria right now or thinking about opening your first pizzeria, go for it. I never want to be the person that tells you not to do it. I just want to help you along the way. I want to give you the pros and cons, because it may look great on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube videos to be a pizza operator, and you get all these accolades for amazing pizza and everybody visits me. But the majority of places aren't like that. They're owners behind the counter, grinding, having late nights, early weekends, trying to run payroll, trying to make payroll, trying to figure out how to pay for the inventory, dealing with all of these rising costs and employees and taxes and all of that. There's a lot of things that go along with it that aren't great. So I just want to be a resource for you and help you and give you the goods and bads. I don't want to make it seem so bad, but I also don't want to make it seem like it's easy and everybody can do it, because it's not, and not everybody can do it. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Let me hear what you think in the comments below. Leave a comment. Are you opening a pizzeria? Do you already operate a pizzeria? Hit me up. Leave it a comment below. I'll follow you on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to this video, because I do make videos like this for pizza operators looking to improve and grow and start. And I want to continue to do that for you. So thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.